I take responsibility for the calls that I make. And I keep telling your brother that's what it means to be in the top spot. Means taking all the blame and getting none of the credit. And I'm alright with that. But what I can't accept is that nobody up in this month wanna look in the mirror but me. My whole life now about looking in the mirror. You like who looking back at you? I'm starting to. Well, Lou don't like who looking back at him. And no matter what he think, that ain't on me. That's all him. Can't nobody save a nigga from himself. This exchange is carried out by Rock and her brother Marvin in the aftermath of Lulu's front lawn burst in the wee hours of the morning. From that burst in the beginning of the episode to his self-inflicted harmful actions towards the ends of it, it seems that Lulu's character has devolved all the way into the abyss, to no man's land, literally keeping him between a rock and a hard place, no pun intended. And as much as we're rooting for Lou to make it on through this, we can't deny what the writers and our eyes are showing us in plain sight. The beloved youngest sibling of the Thomas family is on his way out, and in today's video, we'll lay out some reasons why, as well as some predictions for how he might go. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things power. Here we go. Now, over the course of this season, Lulu has been spiraling down into a state of drunkenness, the likes of which we've never seen from his character. He's committed some very heavy sins in the game, acknowledged those sins, tried to find a way out via music, his true passion, and now has seemingly given up on music, the game, and saddest of all, his very own life. Towards the conclusion of this latest episode, we saw Lulu staring down a gun on arguably his worst drunken binge of the season thus far. Now this moment was shocking and tragic, but not without context, as just an episode prior to this, Lulu was forced back into the game seemingly by Rock, but really by his own actions against not just Rock, but his own family. As Lulu foolishly went to Mama Scrap's house and began confessing all of his street crimes against her son, placing her and himself in the most dangerous of spaces, because there was no way she was going to go on breathing in his universe after having the true knowledge of what happened to her son. And Lulu's blabbering and self-pity created it that way. And what he once believed to be a symptom has become, as Marvin relayed to him, the disease. And that is Lou himself. Lou's drinking is much heavier than a symptom of everything that's happened to him, but has become a rampant disease, a virus that affects everything around him. It has negatively affected his music career, one that was finally beginning to blossom with the breakthrough of the 411 record he recorded on Famous, a record whose lyrics have begun to hit a little too close to home for him, as it's in those moments of him listening to that record that places him in his most drunken of stupors and inspires him to the twisted truth that brought him to Chantel's house in the first place. It has negatively affected his relationship with his niece, who is now on her own musical journey and is flourishing on that path in her own right, internal problems aside. Lou was supposed to be right there with her and could possibly even use this as a segue to his own career as a producer, songwriter, and the like. But alas, the regrets of the life that he can't seem to leave behind have hindered him, shackled him, and like a bookmark to your favorite chapter, is holding him in a place from which he cannot get out. And now, unfortunately, due to these actions and transgressions, Lulu has officially signed his death certificate. He has betrayed not only his family, but himself, as it was Lulu who once spoke the words that, quote, "I'll never flip for anyone, never." Now, of course, he said this in more sober times, as this was way back in season 1, when Lulu was just about as solid as any character on this show. And ironically, it was more Marvin's character who was in question when it came to erratic behavior. But Lou's actions through season 3, right on down through episode 8, has found him in a place of no return. He's officially defected from his sister and has been moving outside of her control for pretty much the whole season. And that, more than anything else, makes him the most dangerous outlier to her, more than the ops, and even more than her own son. Because even over Kanan, does Rock exercise some measure of control? Rock has no control over Lulu. He knows where all the bodies are buried because he helped her lay them in all of the dirt, metaphorically speaking. But she doesn't have one single ounce of control over what his next move may be. And that jeopardizes someone heavily who's trying to reestablish herself in the game, which is another reason that we can see Lou out of here by possibly even the next episode. Because when Raquel said, I want back in the game. What's the cost to that? Because there does have to be a cost. As you remember, when she shook hands with Stefano said, this time when you get in, you know there's only one way out. But as we should all know, there's only one way in too. And the cost of success, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, is sacrifice. You want something? You desire something? Well, you gotta invest something. Something that there's no coming back from, but that's gonna propel you forward in your ambitions. And unfortunately for Rock, that something just may have to be her very own brother, because she's not gonna be able to establish and maintain a foothold in this game with someone whose behavior and lips are as loose as Lulu's. Remember, Rock's own son Kanan is now standing opposite his mother and even trying to look her eye to eye in the drug trade. But as tense as that relationship was, much of which is Rock's own doing, the linchpin in Kanan's own defection from his mother came courtesy of Lulu, who in the early parts of this season visited his nephew and spilled the beans of the true nature of his mom to Kanan, casting her in the lowest of lights in the eyes of her own son, and pretty much securing that there never be any reconciliation between the two. It was Lulu who helped cement that, and that's something we can't forget, because it runs parallel with what we're talking about, with the reasons why Lulu won't make it. Way back in Raising Kanan Season 1, a grown Kanan told us, and I've stated this in another video, that High Post got killed for telling, and it was Pernissa that told us that Rock was behind the death of High Post. So as we begin to put these pieces together, one thing remains clear. Rock doesn't stand for people who tell, for people with loose lips, for people who talk too much. And although she does love her brother, and even wishes things were a different way, she will do what she must. Now, how do we know that she wishes things were another way? Well, peep the way that she reminisces over that old family picture during episode 8, while her brother remains asleep upstairs. She's looking at that picture like, damn, this was us. This was us way back in the day, way back when we were young and had ambitions in this game. And moreover, when we were bonded by something stronger than all of us. It's a shame that I'm gonna have to rupture that soon, all because of this one boy's actions. These are the unsaid sentiments that she's communicating to us in the viewing of this picture. And it shows just how deep Lulu's words were when he told Rock when she came to visit him back at his new club, that quote, ain't nowhere for me and you to go. Ain't like you ever gave a fuck about me anyway. I was just a hammer that you pull out your toolbox whenever you needed shit knocked around. That picture symbolizes where they've been, and their current state is exemplifying to us that there truly is nowhere for them to go, because Lulu is too far gone to go anywhere fruitful, that is. This leads us back to Lulu looking at that gun in the conclusion of episode 8, and it suggested to all of us that Lulu could possibly delete its own self. And if his fate did play out that way, how would that serve him? And even more interesting, what kind of message does that send to Rock? Remember, Lulu really started to go off the deep end after Rock told him that, quote, I own you, nigga. He realized that his life wasn't his own, that he was indeed that tool pulled out of the toolbox, used upon command. He was made to feel like that tool again when forced to kill Mama Scrap, even though it was his own lips that caused such a situation. And if Lulu truly feels that he doesn't own himself, it explains the damage that he's done to himself up to this point. Because if my life isn't my own, then what regard do I have to have for it? I can drink all day. I can destroy my body. I can say everything I've been holding in, even if it's against my own family. Because after all, my life is not my own. And then finally, in those last moments of despair, I can reclaim what has been taken from me, which is that very life. Because that's what a self-deletion would do for Lulu. It would symbolize him reclaiming the power that Rock snatched away from him when she said what she said to him. Well, guess what? You don't own me. I own me. So much that I control my own fate. But what are your thoughts on all of this? How do you see Lulu's story playing out in the final 2 episodes to come? Will he be a victim of self-deletion or just another victim of his own sister? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and put $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.